What's up, guys? Our wrestling podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Jess, the Total Package, Craig, the British Bulldog, and Cuz is off this week, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Can someone feed me today's topic?
Dave, it's October and it's spooky, and we are going to cover Halloween Havoc, of course, because it's October, and it's going to be the year 1993.
I thought that Jess was punishing us once again, but this one, I think we're going to have a little more fun than usual.
This was a fan request, by the way. Same gentleman who requested at WrestleMania 7 a year ago, or a year and a half ago, or something. I don't know. I'm not going to.
Hey, that's a good request. Well, it's actually much better than some. He's got better taste than you do, Jess, on reviews, is what I would say.
He does.
That's fair.
I'm resigning.
Spin the wheel, make the deal.
That's
Dave.
what it is, bro. Spin the wheel, make the deal. Good stuff. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts, or watch our videos at YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P19, or on Facebook, O.W.P2019, or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. Craig, did you make that deal?
I did make the deal.
$29.95, I think.
Did we watch it? Did we? I'm sure we watched it.
Totally,
we absolutely watched it with
yeah.
And I love it because we're jumping ahead a little bit, but spin the wheel, make the deal things are always rigged. They always seem to pick a terrible match. Was it the year before this? Was Coal Miner's Glove or the year after?
Yeah, it was the year before this. It was Jake and Sting, Coal Miner's Glove.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, the wheel is obviously fake.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really spinning a wheel. So they purposely chose Coal Miner's Glove. And at least this one was going to be whatever it was. They could have called this a chicken on a pole match, and everything in the Cactus Jack Invader match, you would have seen everything that we already saw. Because they'd be like, we don't fucking care about the chicken. We're going to go to the graveside. We're going to fucking drop you in head. Like, so they had totally, so it wouldn't have mattered what you gave Vader and Cactus. But yeah, like a Coal Miner's Glove for Jake and Sting the year before. They chose that. They're like, let's do that. We haven't seen that in a long time. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
And they always do the spin live, so something can go wrong or it looks even worse. Just gimmick it.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
so, all right. So want to try to get into this a little bit. It's in New Orleans at the Lakefront Arena. There are 6,000 fans. It did feel like more. They were into it.
The crowd was hot the entire. I don't know whether it was the audio, but the crowd was hot and sent this to another level when I was watching it back. This was really good.
A lot of people say this is like the sleeper year pre NWO and everything. Like this was the sleeper. This was the first
really
year
good.
that. This was the first year that Bischoff kind of took over as like executive producer. I want to say he took over right before or right after Super Bowl III at the beginning. It was right before Super Bowl III in February of this year, 93.
Mm-hmm.
This was October. So Bischoff had been executive producer for like a handful of months by this point. Not like the tippity top guy that he became, but he was on his way climbing up the ladder. I think I said it on our Davey Boy episode. I said it on probably our Vader episode and any other 93 pay-per-view that we've done, is that 93 is one of my favorite WCW years. It's always the early 90s are regarded, before the NWO, most people are like, oh, it was all shit before then. I mean, a lot of it was.
What's going on in there, man? Oh my God.
A lot of it was, but at the same time, like 93 was full of really cool nuggets, and they were Bischoff was trying to get his arms around the company, and then once he became executive vice president, that's when he made the Hogan hire and the Savage hire, and
you see, I think almost all those nuggets in this pay-per-view. I mean, you still got Ricky Steamboat here. You got Flair working here. Dustin Rhodes just coming on the map. Rick Rude has a title right now. I mean, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot of big names. Every time I
Harlem Heat is making their move out here right now.
They weren't even Booker T and Stevie Ray yet. They were Kane and Cole.
Yeah,
crazy.
The Equalizer, guys. The Equalizer.
Oh, fucking God.
Shockmaster was amazing.
What happened?
What happened there?
So I will get into really quick here. The WWF champions as of October 1993 were WWF champion Yokozuna, WWF Intercontinental champion Razor Ramon, WWF Tag Team champions the Quebecers.
There you go.
Love them.
And then the WCW champions going into this pay-per-view was the WCW World Champion was Vader, the WCW US Champion Dustin Rhodes, WCW Television Champion Steven Regal, the WCW World Champion / International Champion / holder of the Big Gold Belt Rick Rude, and the WCW Tag Team Champions were Marcus Bagwell and 2 Cold Scorpio.
Ooh, that's good stuff. That is good stuff.
But some things might change on this
some
pay-per-view.
things might change tonight.
And it's not good stuff. Dave, take us to the opener.
Well, we will.
Come on.
We're
No,
do that.
stop.
But before we do, I just want to note that we have Jesse the Body Ventura followed by
Wham.
Jesse the Body Ventura on mic work tonight because Tony
even
Schiavone
before
like,
that, the awful vignette that premiered that opened the telecast.
We're gonna get to that too. it's horrifying.
Yeah.
But it's two Jessies because Tony Schiavone dressed like Jesse. I thought it was hilarious. He looked great.
He did look
well,
good.
but before that, the opening segment of the pay-per-view was like a skit. And it was kids trick-or-treating.
Yep.
Yeah, kids. They knocked on the door of like this home, and Tony Schiavone answered dressed like Dracula. And they were like, "Oh, Tony Schiavone," and he was like, very cryptic. Like, they're all, "Oh, it smells real good in there." And he's like, what's cooking? My wife
made cookies.
Yeah, and like you got the sense or whatever. But let me tell you why this was fine. Okay, and I put my note on this note on this was it was so bad it was good, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like. It was really on a production level, it was fine, and I accept it, even if it was corny or someone on this podcast thinks it's corny or someone listening.
Corny, I think.
The problem, the good thing is that Schiavone did it. If they put a wrestler in that position, I hate it when because wrestlers are already playing characters because they're real life personas.
Don't make a character play a character.
Steve Borden is Sting. Like, he's already playing Sting. So when you put Sting in like another skit,
him like Zombie Sting or something,
I'm like, oh, like but it was Schiavone, it was an announcer, so I accepted it. It was silly and silly Billy, but at the same time, like I thought it was just kind of a fun way to open.
Kids were like, "Dad, this is cornball." They were watching.
It is cornball, but I was fine.
Cornball, Dad.
And
it was this like the shittiest kids you could ever cast. like I wanted to see
they
them.
Couldn't act at all.
I wanted to see Vader powerbomb.
I think they were related to they were related to somebody, And
then my favorite part in it is like Schiavone goes, "Oh yeah," and like he goes to rip his face off, but Schiavone's best take was him like doing it
like super slow.
Yeah,
and like not even by his face or behind. Like it's just like a. And then when
you meet a coworker for the first time and you're supposed to tell something interesting about themselves, those kids probably say, "Well, I was in a skit for WCW." And they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
When they left, they tried to run out of the house to leave the house. They opened up the door and it was the arena of the pay-per-view. So did they get to see the show? I hope.
I hope.
Yeah. I guess Tony, he didn't need the helicopter because he said in the beginning, he's like, "Why you should be at the pay-per-view?" And Schiavone goes, "There's a helicopter waiting for me."
Yeah. But he did that weird, his best acting is like, "There's a helicopter waiting for me." I'm not really
like, are you supposed to be Dracula or are you guilty because you're cooking your wife in a pot? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to think about you.
I am cooking my wife, and I'm supposed to be at the pay-per-view, and I'm not. So you got me twice.
But joke's on us because he was there, and I I miss Ventura. I don't know what it is about Ventura. I've always loved, and just his voice. And he's just like, "You know what, Schiavone?" Like, and it's just such
we'll leave it to the good guy to start closing his fist first. Like, come on.
And I've always also stated too, Jim Ross gets all the praise as being like the greatest like play-by-play of all time, which I agree with. However, Tony Schiavone is criminally underrated, and he was the voice of WCW for so many years, and eventually, about 3 years after this or 2 years after this, whatever, became the voice of Nitro.
Yeah, it's amazing when you think about it.
So. Well, we'll jump right into the first match. It was Harlem Heat, Kane and Cole, not Booker T and Stevie Ray. Kane and the Equalizer versus the Ice Train. Charlie Norris and the God blessed Shockmaster.
There it is.
9 minutes and 45 seconds. Sorry, I'm ticking with my mic here. Fucking cord is
best match
out.
on the card. Stole the show.
So I put. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I put on paper this looked rough, and it kind of was. Side note, the ring looks so small, especially with all these massive monsters.
They're huge. These guys are huge.
Kane and Cole, who would eventually become Booker T and Stevie Ray, had stars written all over them, even back here. Their size, they were tall. Like, I couldn't help but look at them and go, God damn, like, of course they're going to be stars, of course, especially Booker.
Yeah.
Jesse shit all over the Shockmaster character right away, and I laughed so fucking hard. Because he was like, so what? He was like, Schiavone was like telling he's so agile for a big man, almost 500
pounds. What are you talking about?
Wait a minute, Schiavone.
Everywhere he goes.
So a couple of months before, he debuted at Clash of the Champions, and everybody knows the infamous story of Shockmaster, where he fucking tripped coming through the wall, and he fell, and his mask
Not
fell
his
off.
fault, though. Not his fault.
It's infamous.
They
so
put
they
a
decided
stud in, bro. They put a stud in.
They did. They decided to work that into his gimmick. So weeks leading up, he would come to the ring bringing drinks for the announcers, falling and into the drinks. Drinks would splatter everywhere, or he would trip over the ring steps coming in. So they tried to work it into the character. And then Ventura exposed the shit out of it when Shivani was trying to sell how agile he was, because he did like a hip toss or whatever and like did something that was athletic. And then he's like, wait a minute, Shivani, I'm supposed to believe I've seen this buffoon like fall all over with the drinks and wham and fall over the stairs, Shivani. You're trying to sell me that he's agile? And he was like, well, yeah. And he's like, so you're trying to tell me that in the ring he's perfect, but outside of the ring he's a buffoon? And Shivani's like, I mean, I guess. And he goes, why? And I was laughing so hard. I'm like, the producers must have been going like, shut the fuck up, Jesse. Jesus Christ. It was so funny.
Just might have been a little drunk. He was like on form. He was like, I'm the gynecologist at Bourbon Street.
Yeah, and he was so weird.
Yeah, he was a little.
I put nothing good or bad. Shockmaster pins Cole with the bear hug / he kind of fell down on him.
I was like,
grade C-. Like
Bear hug! The big bear hug! Whoa! He's got him! He wins it!
Ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the first contest, the team of the Shockmaster, Ice Train, and Charlie Norris.
Well, the match is over, but a fight's still going on. Shockmaster and Equalizer are going at it. Look at this.
Like Charlie Norris was terrible. Ice Train was incredibly green here, and the Shockmaster never worked from.
But yeah, I mean, I gave it a C as well. I did. Shockmaster wins with a bear hug slam. Is that what that was? I was trying to. Figure that out.
It was like a 2-part spine buster. He picked him up in the bear hug, paused,
and held him for a minute, and then slammed.
Fell down to his knees, and then slammed Booker T, or excuse me, Kane on his back.
There you go.
Got the 3 count.
Yeah, so I wrote this thing. Shockmaster still makes me giggle. Jesse's even making fun of him the whole time, which is great.
He just straight up shit on him.
And it was a slow start. Harlem Heat, but was doing great double team work the entire time. They were like the bright spot of the match. I just kept writing like, man, Harlem Heat is so freaking good, and they're still pretty green here in comparison. So
yeah,
but they're so good.
They're babies.
And I even noticed Shockmaster was doing almost every momentum swing out there. Period. They were really trying to push him still at this point, even with all the stuff.
It was only like it was within 2 months that he debuted. They were still trying to give it a go.
Yeah, they were really pushing him hard. So
yeah,
and I wrote that he won with that bear hug slam. I gave it a C mainly because
why?
What?
Why? And he's like, "Are you really fucking asking me to explain a gimmick right now on TV to you? Or are you
Shut up, Jesse. You're supposed to push him. Please push him as the star.
Can you shut your mouth, please? But I gave it a C. I was a little more generous than Jess was, only because I was enjoying Harlem Heat when they got a chance to do some work. Wham. What you got, Craigers?
I gave it a D. It's terrible. Why would you open with this when you have Orndorff and Steamboat coming next, or Regal and Bulldog to open it and really kick the crowd off?
I thought the same thing that you said. I thought that Regal and Bulldog should have opened it.
It's like, come on.
Well,
this, like,
when we watched that match, I really disagree.
6-man. Equalizer is David Sullivan, by the way, I think, right? Or
Equalizer eventually become David Sullivan and trigger me to no end because he was awful. He's awful in the ring. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
I just pretend this didn't happen.
I'm sure he pays his taxes. I'm sure he's a great man, but he's an awful wrestler.
Another great man that we don't really like is right behind me, and they do this interview. Eric Bischoff and his crazy Confederate costume behind me is interviewing Terry Taylor. About what? I have no idea, but he's bad.
Terry Taylor was going to be one of the 2 referees for the Rick Rude, Ric Flair world title match later. And so we had to needlessly hear from Terry Taylor, which no one gave 2 shits about.
But
Terry Taylor didn't give 2 shits about Eric Bischoff and basically ignored all his questions. And then we were
well, let me tell you something.
We were joking before we went live that he's like, yeah, I don't have to listen to you. You won't be around very long, so I'm just going to ignore you. You'll never be my boss. And I'm Terry Taylor. I'm going to take over this interview. And then
I was almost going to ask Jess to give his Terry Taylor impression, but that was too good, Craig. We have to move
that was good.
That was good.
Jess does a lot
better. That was perfect.
Match number 2.
The next match is a singles match. Paul Orndorff with his new manager, the Masked Assassin, Craig Stop, against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Sorry.
18 minutes and 35 seconds. I put a little too long. It was good at times, but it dragged a lot. It was ultimately a letdown for the 2 names I saw on paper. I love Orndorff and I love Ricky Steamboat. Orndorff gets the win by a count out, which fucking sucked. due to the assassin's interference, the assassin put something in his, like a Twinkie in his fucking mask, and then headbutt.
In the back of the head, yeah.
Has nothing to do with what you think it has to do with, Dave.
I'm
headbutt.
Yeah, he headbutted him.
Steamboat was trying to climb up from the outside of the ring. Yeah, Steamboat, and then he headbutt Steamboat, and Steamboat
because
got
like
out.
But that doesn't hurt the assassin. It just hurts Steamboat. So
it just and it squashed the Twinkie.
He gives him a good shot too, like right in the back of his head.
No, he does. You know, you're totally right. I'm all seriousness. Like it was a fucking awesome looking headbutt. He just headbutted the shit out of him in the back of the head.
Like whatever he didn't need, whatever he put up there, just bang,
look
right in the back of his head.
He put something in his mouth. Steamboat's out. The masked assassin loaded that mask, and Steamboat, he's not going to get back in. Come on, Ricky, pull up.
8, 9, 10, it's over. Wonderful wins without a count out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match, as a result of a countout, Mr. Wonderful
Yeah, he didn't need to put like a whatever in there.
Right.
You could just headbutt him. Like,
right.
All you're
trying to do is stop Steamboat from getting up in the ring. You're not trying to like kill him. Like instead, he put a shotgun in his mask. And
how'd you rate it, buddy?
I gave it a C+ because I really liked their work in there, but I took it down. It could have been a B- because the fucking count out for no reason. It wasn't like for a title to try to keep the title on Steamboat. Neither one of them had a title. So why in any match that's not a title match in a freaking count out, unless the WCW Saturday night?
You can still have interference and have the heel win by pinfall. It's fine.
Yeah, Orndorff could have totally won by pinfall. There's no reason why. Like it would have hurt Steamboat.
I think I'm being a little more generous than you, Jess. I'm not sure why, because I got the same notes. It was a fast start. It was really snug, that's what we love about Orndorff. It's just when he works, man. It looks incredible. I noticed too. I don't know if you guys maybe you notice this all the time, but when somebody works the arm of Mr. Wonderful, which arm do they use?
They should use the right if you're really being fair. You should use the left because that's not hurt.
They use the arm that is not atrophied.
Yeah,
if you notice. So because I think Orndorff would ask them to, and that's just being a gentleman in there, Mr.
Be wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful said, "Don't use that arm.
Don't be wonderful to my arm."
Use the other noodle. Another way that he always hit it, because if you're working the bigger arm, you're going to
Steamboat. Use the other arm.
So, just I know we always talk about it, but I think
make sure you're in position.
Use the other arm. Do not use. I told you backstage. Do not use the left arm.
Do not use the left arm.
Make sure your back is facing me
when they were matching each other on the outside and giving massive digs, like just hitting the crap out of each other on the outside. I thought that was really fun. And the last 5 minutes were great. Until the assassin, he interferes twice, and then Ricky comes out. But I gave
it the first time his back wasn't to me, and I don't like that.
I gave it a B, but I could have put it up in the A- if they shortened it up and had a real pinfall. I could have. I don't even know what's going on right now. But
Mr. Steamboat,
if we had a real count out and we had shortened up some of the wear down stuff and got to be 5 minutes less, I think it'd be in the A's for me. That's just me.
Did you know?
Did you?
That's my stapler.
So what makes you think the assassin sounds like that? That's number one. Like
I've heard his promo. He does.
He does like sound like that.
Yeah.
Did you know the assassin was Nick Patrick's dad?
What?
I don't know if I did.
We should Google and confirm that. But I was reading today that the assassin might be Nick Patrick's dad.
Rest in peace, assassin. It's all.
Yeah. Sorry. Good job.
Next
buddy.
week's episode: the legacy of the masked assassin.
Jess, Craig, what you got?
I gave it a B because I mean coming off the opener, I love me some Orndorff, and I was interested, and I didn't know the backstory of why Steamboat was working. He was super intense and kind of heelish and throwing around the ref and stuff on this, and I was like, why is Ricky being a bad guy? What's happening here?
Intimidating.
But I mean, it did drag a little bit. I think 18 minutes is a tad too long, but man, did WWF, or I don't know why Orndorff left WWF, but I never remember him being this good, and I always love his WCW days, and he was fantastic.
I think he was able to do more. Like we talk about being snug, but that's not the way of the world up there.
So the next match is for the WCW Television Championship. The reigning champion, Lord Steven Regal, defends against the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. 15 minutes on the button. And I'll tell you why in a second. I love Steven Regal. We all do. But back here in 1993, Jess,
we hated him.
Because the gimmick was that he would go to the draw with almost
every single time.
And they used that as heat because then you would pay money to come see him get his ass whipped or whatever.
But he put you in a wear down for like 8 minutes. Like of the 15.
I put the 2021 goggles on for Jess here. And in the beginning especially, they were chain wrestling very well together. Yes. And I was like, man, like this shit's really good. It was low-key really good. I have a question, though. Why in the flying fuck was a non-title match in Steamboat and Orndorff allowed to go almost 19 minutes, but the title match here was a fucking 15 minutes? It makes no sense.
I'll tell you.
Because they're going to telegraph what they're going to do. They're going to do the fucking Regal draw thing. I get it. I remember on paper, 1993, Jess being excited about this one, and I didn't appreciate it at the time, but rewatching it, I really actually appreciated it. These guys did really well together. Davey Boy was legitimately like breathing hard afterwards because Regal was physical with them, and like it was awesome. Like it was a really, really cool. Yeah. We get a draw on this one, which that was the gimmick at the time, but I still fucking hate it. I hate it too. So I gave it a C+, but it would have been a solid B if there was a definitive winner. If even Regal would have gotten the pin at the end, 30 seconds left, he grabs the ropes or grabs his manager's cane or whatever, or his manager hit Davey with the cane, gets the pin. Fine,
totally fine. Totally fine.
I'd be fine with it.
But we're chasing somewhere. It's all good.
Yeah, and then they could have rematched on WCW Saturday Night and got you to tune into that stuff or whatever and see if Davey can win it. But
I gave it the same grade, bro. C plus it, and I said Mind Games had started out lots of reversals, classic wrestling, which was a lot of fun.
The grade, the look of the grade C plus doesn't do the physical justice. Like they were both really good. They didn't fuck up. They didn't flub. Like they both did really well.
Honestly, there were more flubs in Wonderful and Steamboat.
I gave it a B. I thought, as far as time limit draws go, I thought it was timed very well.
Yeah, they did good.
Randy Anderson, and on like usually there's a little bit of a delay when a time limit draw is done before the count of 3, and I thought Randy Anderson played it perfectly, and I thought it was done well. Although he kicked out of that final power slam, which was weird. That was the second to last kick out. I was like,
like if he kicked out of the power driver, that's fine. I thought they did it backwards. Maybe Davey Boy just fucked up and did it backwards.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The bell! He didn't get it, Tony. That's only a 2 count.
Wait a minute. Are we sure?
Absolutely. Time. That's right. Good call.
Randy Anderson asking for the belt.
What a match, Tony Schiavone.
You're right, Jesse. The arm went down. 1, 2, and then the bell sounded.
I'll tell you what, the Bulldog exploded at the end, but it was a little too late. He had the pinning combination, but the bell rang.
The time limit expires. The champion keeps his belt.
There you hear the official announcement from our ring announcer, Michael Buffer. A very disappointed challenge.
Backwards. Because he did his finisher, and then Regal kicks out, and then he does a pile driver, and then the time expires. It should have been the other way around. Yeah, it should have been a pile driver. He kicked out, and then he power slams him and
he doesn't get the pin in time, but he would have pinned him. Would have been a little bit better. Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree. I thought the same thing. I was like, why are they doing one more move? They should have just flipped it.
And it was a nice fucking pile driver. Regal's not an easy man to get up.
Yeah. Well, but Jess, you know why he gave it a B?
Why?
Because of British Bulldog.
Yeah.
Damn, both are British Bulldog. But you know what? That's not a bad grade at all. They actually were very physical.
I think it's fair.
I think mine and Dave's grades are a little like deceptive.
I'm with you.
So the next segment we have Vader with his manager Harley Race comes out. They spin the wheel. So in the set of the ring, the wrestlers would come out from either side of this big wheel with like several matches on it, like Texas Death Match, Make Out with My Girlfriend match, a bunch of other things, Chug a Beer match, and then so it was all around. So you saw it the whole pay-per-view so far, and then when Vader came out,
all rooting for the Coal Miners Club.
Vader did the same symbol that he would do to his helmet when he used to wear the helmet that would cause the steam to come out. He did the same thing, and then the fucking wheel started spinning. So you already knew the shit's gimmicked. And then it lands on a Texas Death Match. So he and Cactus Jack will face each other in the main event of the evening.
What did you say before the podcast kicked off, Jess? It didn't matter what it rolled onto.
Yeah, it didn't matter what it was. It could have landed on a rubber duck on a pole match, and these guys would have had the exact same amazing brutal match as they would in the end.
Although I do remember liking the selection when it happened.
Because we just saw death and we're like, well, Cactus is going to die. Like, we just knew, like that. Right?
And I think coming off the previous year, it's like just.
And it was a cool little segment here, and spectacle. The little, not fireworks, but the steam came out of the wheel while it spin and shit.
But then it has this like weird screamer noise, like
fireworks.
It was like a fireworks.
Like, don't do that. We don't need that.
That was the most outrageous spinning wheel I've ever seen in my life.
My dog was
angry, and it was yelling at us, and it was pitching fireworks. And
it was pissed. It was very angry.
It was an upset wheel. It was really unhappy.
And what's the deal with why did Vader have to spin it? Is it Cactus coming back from his memory, challenging him to spin the wheel? That kind of thing. Is that
every time I saw it was always one person that spun the wheel. I don't know why.
Sting spun the wheel, or mentally made the wheel spin the year before against Jake Roberts. So I guess they just pick whoever.
Yeah, they just pick one side to spin it. Like they want.
So the next match is for the WCW United States Championship. Dustin Rhodes, the defending champion, versus stunning Steve Austin.
Call him natural.
He was just fresh off his Hollywood Blondes run here, so he was just freshly singles again. 14 minutes, 23 seconds. I put really solid match.
Yeah.
But the ending was a little weird. The timing was kind of off. I get what they were trying to do, but they both look great. Dustin gets the win via roll-up and defends his title. I put B-. If the finish would have went off, I would have probably given it a B+ or an A-. They were at one point they were like going off on each other, like hitting each other, and I was like, dude, this is great shit.
Because Austin won by putting his foot on the ropes, but he counted 3 and let it.
And Ventura was yelling at that. He's like, why would the ref count 3, Shivani, if he saw his foot on the rope? And he's like,
that's perfect.
It was too quick to be like a reversal.
That was a perfect impression of Jesse.
It was silly.
And then when Dustin did the roll up, like Austin clearly got his shoulder up before 3.
Now he picks. Get a stun gun again. 1, 2, 3.
He got it.
New champion. New champion. Wait a minute. What? He's looking for the belt. Hang on. Nick Hendricks says, keep it going.
Why? If he counted to 3.
He was on the ropes.
Why did he count to 3?
We don't have the belt here, Steve.
Why did he count to 3 if he saw the ropes?
Got the rope. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, man. Well, Stunning Steve found the belt, didn't he?
He sure did.
3. And because they can't hear, because first of all, it's hard to do any the ending sequence that they did is hard to do in WCW's ring because it's 5 foot by 5 foot, that fucking ring. So like you have no fucking room in there. So if you try to do something that involves like going to one side of the ropes real quick and then coming back, the referee has to 1, 2, and it's all fucking all like WCW referees. I hated WWF. They were trained to like Hebner did big counts so the person on the top row can see. Vince was very specific about his refs and the way they work because they want the crowd to be able to see 1, 2.
Sure.
WCW, a lot of refs like would slide in there and be like, they would do the old fashioned ref where they slide the hand under the shoulder. Yeah. They go 1, 2, and like the crowd can't see it. Like if you're a ref only lifting your hand like 6 inches off the mat, you're not showing the people in the top row.
Well, let's put it this way: if you're doing a ton of stupid false finishes and DQs, it's kind of what you want because you want the crowd to be, oh, they got it. Oh no, they didn't.
Well, kind of. You would think that would be a thing, but I watched WCW for years, and all the referees they never got the emotion. Bischoff himself on podcast always said, when I first took over the company, WCW was always so bad at finishes because Pat Patterson's a genius. So Pat Patterson would always craft great finishes on the other side in WWF. Sure. But WCW never had good finishes. Part of the reason why is because the refs, like the way they counted. And I love Randy Anderson. I love Nick Patrick. I love those guys. They're great refs. But they would always like, when you're in an arena, even if there's only 6,000 people in there, you need to raise your fucking arm up so the crowd, everyone can see the top of the count. 1, 2, you don't have to go slow, but I mean, just when your cadence has to be the same. WCW referees were so weird with their count. You couldn't tell, like 80% of the arena is like, did he almost get him? I don't know. Like, so it's more confusion. So this ending didn't play well with the small ring and the way the refs counted it.
I gave it a B+. was a good match, great pace, good work telling the story of the knee when they started to work Austin's knee.
Yes.
That was very well done. And then when they started slapping the crap out of each other, I was just, this is incredible. These guys are just doing some major work. And I gave it a B+, but to your point, Jess, I think I was a little more impressed with it, but it would have been in the A-A's if we didn't have that weird finish at the end.
Yeah.
That was the only thing wrong with it. If you can, and I don't think the finish is really their decision, right?
Craigathy?
I think this is a bit too low, but I'm going to go with it because I wrote it down. C+. Because I liked it, and there was a lot of elements in it, but it also was a bit too long, and then the ending was a bit wacky, but there was some real elements of fire, and to see a young, strapping Steve Austin, and then to see when Steve Austin came down, there was a sign that said, Steve, Stunning Steve, wrestler of the 90s. Like, that kid came in a time machine, and then he's like, I'm going to show these people.
I know.
That kid should have put some money down on what was going to happen.
1,000. Yeah, like the sports almanac, Biff Smart Sports Almanac.
That's right, yeah. Back to the future, too, bro. Good
future WWF World Champion, like clearly written.
Yeah.
1998. What?
It's like, go Stone Cold. I was like, what?
What is that? What is that?
The next match is for the WCW Tag Team Championship. The Nasty Boys are the challengers against Marcus Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio, the defending champions who just won it like the week before. They showed you a little video package.
They sure did.
14 minutes, 38 seconds. A popular word nowadays used on social media is cringe. Watching Marcus Bagwell dance is cringe. I don't know why. It just was to me. However, this match was kind of fun. I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy Too Cold anyway. Basic tag match with heels getting heat, baby faces getting sympathy. Would you want to see any more of a complicated match with the Nasty Boys involved? I don't think Dave would. So I liked it. I really thought it flowed well. The Nasty Boys would get the win and regain the titles using a boot to the back of Too Cold. I gave it a solid B. I really fucking liked this match, and I didn't know why. When I watched it, I just was like, this was really good. Everything they did was fine. Everything was good.
Yeah, I'm watching some brutal stuff from the Nasty Boys. It's replaying on my pad right now, actually, where they took Bagwell over the top, picked him up, and tried to put his neck on the ropes, and he kind of fell out. I'm like, that was almost as scary as the dancing part, right? But the high flying maneuvers that Scorpio and Bagwell are doing on this is so much fun. When you got the hard hitting of the Nasty Boys, I think it's just a good combination. I give it a solid B. By the way, we left out the managers. We got Teddy Long over there, holla, holla, holla. Super, super young and different.
And Missy Hyde on the other side.
Missy Hyde on the other side. Just classic.
And she took a pretty hard bump actually off the apron.
Yeah. Oh, she gets her head banged together with Sags. And there's a lot of
I did not see that part.
It wasn't. I mean, it was an unwanted kiss, but it was like.
Oh, was that?
Yeah. It's 2021. Craig's being correct.
But
I mean, look at the Eric Bischoff's the Confederate soldier behind you. There were no rules here in 1993.
apparently not.
The next match is for the title of WCW franchise. What a match! It's for the franchise title of WCW. Sting took on Sid Vicious.
Oh my!
Sting took on Sid Vicious. 10 minutes and 41 seconds. Little fun fact: these two met in the main event of Halloween Havoc 1994.
And Sting
WCW Heavyweight Championship. Yes, and that was from the famous Sid Vicious.
When did you guys start
Jess and I did that for 15 to 20 years.
Was that in Vegas when they started to do this every year? Was that started in 94 or was that?
No, it was 19. When we started going, 96.
Oh, it was 96. Okay.
Yeah, 96. Typical Sting match. The crowd was fucking into it because they love Sting because he's great. Sting gets the pin after Colonel Parker accidentally grabs Sid's leg in a clusterfuck kind of a spot where Sid goes for like a collar and elbow tie up at the end of the match, which who fucking does that? So like he got Sting up against the rope and he's like, I want to really make sure I'm stronger than you, collar and elbow. And he collar and elbowed him on the rope so they could kind of like dance up against the ropes. And then Parker's like, oh, this leg. No, this leg. Oh my goodness, this leg. I don't know what leg I'm grabbing. Because he could just look up and Sid's 19 feet tall and you could just look up and see what leg it was. But instead he's like, oh. So he grabbed Sid's leg by accident, which distracted Sid. And Sid looked at him and he's like, I can't believe you did that. Why didn't you pay attention? And then Sting rolled him up in a cradle from behind. 1, 2, 3. Sting can now legally be called the franchise of WCW. I gave it a C.
He He's got everybody split. Look at this.
Colonel don't know whose leg to grab. He grabs Sid's. Look at this.
Wrong foot, Colonel.
Rolls him up. He got him.
Go ahead.
I gave it I gave it a B minus. I thought Sid did very well. I hate most Sid matches. I thought he did very well in this. But again, it's not enough to carry it to an A or anything. It was, standard stuff.
That's crazy.
It's fine.
I think you're in that C minus. I'm sorry, C plus B minus. I'm sorry, C minus to C kind of category because I feel like Sid he always needs help. Like you can't run. And what I mean by that, like
God damn it.
Like
I forgot.
I don't want to say it Pat Patterson, but you need someone to walk him through. Like this is how your match is gonna go. Like, don't you think Sid?
No, I agree. I agree with that.
In WWF, when they said this is what we're gonna do.
I'm glad we did a legacy on Sid. I think he deserved it. I 100% agree with you. Sid is like one of those guys that like he's so big and impressive, and then he was like,
"Well, that's all I got. So you guys do the rest."
Like, and that's fine. I'm not saying people like that are fine, but absolutely.
But that's why I think when his WWF work is much better because and WCW is like, no, you guys work it out, and we'll give you the finish,
or else he collar and elbow ties up after the match without proper supervision.
That's good.
Yeah.
The next match was Rick Rude, who had a piece of gold on his waist, defended that piece of gold against Ric Flair. And the reason why I say that, they call it the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, which is funny because after WCW goes out of business, WWF would just adopt the World Heavyweight Championship and then have the WWE Championship on the other side. So WCW was a trendsetter here. The reason why they did this was this belt was commonly known as the WCW/NWA Heavyweight Championship. It was the big gold belt that everybody creams over.
That's what I always say, the big gold belt. Yeah.
Everybody creams over.
What had happened was a few months before, it was actually the NWA Heavyweight Championship with, once again, WCW tried to bring the NWA Heavyweight Championship back into the picture in 1992. Basically, they did that to have a good relationship with like New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they wanted to bring in the NWA Heavyweight Championship. NWA Heavyweight Championship still had a governing board, which made no sense in 1993 and 92, but they tried it anyway. So it sucked because for a while they were kind of overshadowing Vader as a WCW Heavyweight Champion because they were bringing in the NWA Heavyweight Championship and trying to make that a deal. So here it was fizzing out. Right before this pay-per-view, in typical NWA fashion, they pulled away from WCW and said, we do not give you permission to use the NWA as your championship. So they had to panic and call it the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. If you notice the graphic for the match, when it showed Flair and Rick Rude on the bottom, it didn't say NWA Heavyweight Championship or even WCW World Heavyweight Championship. It said Battle for the Belt. That's all it said on the bottom. So they were in a flux. They would eventually rename this the WCW International Heavyweight Championship, I think like a month later, and then it would be defunct in 1994. Shivani even gave it away, going, our international board said that Rick Rude is the recognized world champion.
Yeah, so 2 matches back. Yeah.
So this match, just a little history on that, is total clusterfuck and
you have to give the history, and the history is just
the match was 19 minutes and 22 seconds. I put this match was a little bit better than their match that was 1 month earlier, a Fall Brawl. I always felt that these two were like oil and water because they were the same. I didn't like Flair's character is Rick Rude's character. They're both similar, like, you know, as far as like being super arrogant and flamboyant and in your face. So I think that they never really clicked for some odd reason. You see Rick Rude and Ric Flair on paper and you're like, oh my God, but their matches never got like out of second gear. I mean, it's Ric Flair and Rick Rude, but there was no fireworks. Rude wins by DQ, excuse me. Rick Rude wins by DQ, which is fuck. So I give this a C+. I give Rick Rude and Ric Flair a C+, which is nuts.
It sounds weird when you say that, but yeah. I totally get where you're going. You know, the reason why my dad and my brother hate each other so much because of the same guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, my dad and I got along great, but it's because we're two totally different people. The more right on you are with somebody, the more you might not be able to work well with them. The more that you just, you know, it just people can see it. It just doesn't fit. And I'm watching right now. Like I'm watching Flair work on a leg forever, and I'm watching while he's working on the leg. I see Rick Rude grabbing his hair, grabbing the back of his face. Like they're both doing heel tags at the same time, and the ref doesn't know what to do. He's like, "Do I take the hair out? Do I take care of the knee? What am I doing?" Like nobody knows what.
Terry Taylor's just sitting on the outside of the ring like a dolt.
Yeah, like whoa, what's happening? And I'm just
my goodness.
Terry Taylor.
What's going on in this ring?
I am so fascinated with Terry Taylor's career in so many ways.
Me too.
We haven't done like some kind of biopic on this because
maybe we should do a whatever happened to Terry Taylor.
I think we get scratch that down. Let's do that because I can't. I don't. How did you last this long in the business? And even in the back,
people don't like him.
Yeah, how?
Well, because he was a snitch in the back. He was a goddamn snitch. And he always called Dave Meltzer and reported shit. Like, it's widely known that he was the leak in every company he was in. He would call and tell Dave Meltzer bullshit.
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you, Terry.
But in all honesty, Terry Taylor, actually a very decent worker. And I
totally agree with that. I think so. It's just
very good worker.
The gimmicks were bad.
He made a rooster gimmick work. I mean, props to him.
Well, he tried to make it work. I don't know if it worked, but he tried like hell. He didn't give up. That's for dang.
Dave's all, Craig, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Craig.
He's like,
well, nobody knows about the Red.
What grade did you give it, Dave? I'm sorry.
It's a solid C, bro. It's the work is there. But it always goes back to what we say when something sucks. They worked really hard. They worked really hard.
To say that about Rick Rude and Ric Flair is crazy.
But they don't work well together, and that's not their fault. That's how they're built. Right. You can't.
Do they like each other? Do we know?
Together.
I don't know. Rick Rude got along.
Did you get the feeling they didn't?
I would not be surprised, Craig, if that was the truth. Maybe they did not.
Like, not that they're actively sabotaging each other, but it's like no one's really trying to make each other look like $1 million.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way. I give this a C.
So you're just saying you gave it a C, but Rick Rude itself, nobody got along with him, and nobody got along with the Warrior, and those guys had to work together, and produce some of the best work between them. That's just weird. Okay, sorry, Greg.
Yeah, that's very.
Rick Rude produced some of the best work that the Warrior had ever been.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Because sometimes real hatred can bring out the best of each other. I think this one's more of like indifference, maybe. I don't know. But I think Jess had it right.
Back in an era where people were very protective of their gimmicks. Now it's like it's wide that it's sports entertainment, even though we all knew it was, not real back here. But now back here, people were protective about wins and losses. And Rick Rude had an axe to grind. Rick Rude left the WWF to come to WCW to be a wrestler and to really wrestle. And he was, I loved Rick Rude's WCW career way more than his WWF career.
That's fair.
But he might have more like notoriety from his WWF career because it's WWF. But he's wrestled so much better in WCW.
Here's the question. I know we got to get to Craig's grade, but we're getting on Rick Rude's train. But
gave it a C.
Give it a C.
Yeah.
So give it a C. Have you ever seen Ric Flair ever do any kind of babyface work in your life?
No.
Never did. Couldn't do it, I guess. Right? Just wasn't his bag.
The best run that he had as a babyface was when he fought Terry Funk in '89. Because Terry Funk was such a fucking magnanimous heel. And not that Rick Rude's not, but Terry Funk was a violent heel that you were scared of a little bit, and you wanted Ric Flair to punch him in the fucking face. Rick Rude is more of like an arrogant, showy, kind of, charismatic heel.
I've never seen Rude. Yeah. Like Flair can get on that babyface, no problem. Like he could turn it.
And the only reason why Flair got a babyface cheer was because fucking Terry Funk pile drove him on a goddamn real table. Not a scored table, a real table. So that got him a lot of heat. But and that was back in '89. But so now we go into our main event. Unsanctioned, not for the WCW Heavyweight Championship, which is the only knock I have on this match. Cactus Jack versus Big Van Vader in a Texas death match, 15 minutes, 59 seconds. I'm not going to say anything different than I did in our Legacy of Vader in the archives, our Legacy of Foley in the archives, excuse me. Even after all these years, it's still fabulous every time I watch it. I give it a solid A. I would have given it an A+ if Cactus would have gone over, because if you're going to unsanction it and not make it for the WCW Championship, Vader is not going to lose anything. So why not give Cactus the win to keep the feud going, and then he could lose the rematch for the title.
He lost his memory, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, give him I give it an A. It would have been an A+. This match is fucking legendary. It's belongs on both the portfolios of Vader and Foley, and it very well defines what they could do when they're allowed to do it, and when they're both motivated. It's fucking awesome.
They are all over the place. They're in the.
One of you guys
side.
better bring up the major spot at the end because it's just.
I'll leave it to Craig because Craig's going to tell it better than I do. But
Jack's working his way up, but his race got in his hand. He's got some electric prodder. He stung him with it. He got him with volts of electricity.
And Vader's up. Vader's up at 10. This match is over.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vader rose to his feet. He wins the match, the Texas Death Match. Here is your winner, Vader.
but when you watch this match, you are literally like someone's going to get hurt, and it's going to be Cactus because I don't know if Vader was. You feel like Vader was just.
Well, Vader would always get knocked, he fucking busted open too. Like,
yeah,
Vader
that's fine, but it wasn't going to stop him. You break a nose, you pull an eyeball
Vader would
out,
get beat down in the corner, and you saw him go, "Come on, come on!" Like you watched him lip that
like,
to Cactus,
punch
like,
me in the face, come
punch me in
on.
the face.
Like,
Like it's so. This match just gets my juices flowing. It's
yeah,
fucking great.
I give it a solid A, bro. But
when we were kids in '93 watching this, we fucking lost our minds over this. It was so good.
Yeah, Craig, hit the spot, bro. Tell us what's up.
Yeah, did you give it what grade? Did you give it an A? What grade
I
did you
gave
give it?
I gave it an A. And Dave, you gave it an A? Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Solid A. They beat the snot out of each other. They really
So
did.
great.
And it's the same realism watching these two guys go as like in a different way as I see with like Brock and Roman sometimes, like or mostly Brock, just like you just worry about them. You worry about the safety of them.
So hard in the chest and the face on the platform, and
yes,
and then Harley's trying to hit him with a chair. It's just everything's happening. The
chairs are like these rusty, shredded chairs, and then Vader hits him later on with these like cinema chairs that are super heavy that could stick right through skin
you need
and
a
like bone.
shot after you get hit with this chair. Apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, it crosses the line between, and I love that. I love wrestling when it crosses the line into realism. You don't know what you're about to get.
Some of the differences you see, Craig, like he hits him with the chair. He being Cactus hits Vader with the chair. Then he turns around and watches the crowd and begs them to egg it on more, and then he goes after him again. Like he's so good at his craft. That's the stuff that people don't talk about with Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. That you see him do that and watch the crowd react, and then let him go back at it again. So it's amazing.
I think Harley. I hate that the ending will spoil it. It's done like Last Man Standing.
Yeah, it was weird.
And there's a cattle prod. You shouldn't use a stupid cattle prod. It was such a shitty, stupid. I don't know who came up with it. It was probably Harley. Like, what about a cattle prod? Like it just makes no sense.
I brought one in my bag.
Got one in the trunk.
But you shouldn't let that detract from the fact they beat the snot out of each other. And before the cattle prod, kind of the final biggest spot was on this ramp. Cactus jumps on the back of Vader. Either I don't know if it was talked about in the back or he's just like, flare your legs out. Vader jumps up in the air and falls completely backwards. All his weight, all 400 plus pounds on Cactus Jack's sternum on that ramp. It makes the most sickening thud. You didn't need a mic. You didn't need audio. You heard this thud. The entire crowd just has this, like, not a cheer, just a, oh.
Yeah, and I think I said it in the Cactus episode, whereas you got Ventura.
Yes.
When all Jesse did when he fell back on that ramp, Jesse just goes, whoa.
Wow.
And was like quiet like after that. And it was like, fuck yeah. Like Shivani, like I don't know if it was this match or another one of their matches or whatever, with like every time Shivani something violent happened, Ventura would be like, don't throw up, Shivani, like all the time. Like it's just,
yeah.
But that one left him speechless.
Ventura at the end goes, he takes a stethoscope to Shivani and goes, you're still breathing.
That's great.
That was his laugh. But the fact that the Cactus is still up at the end of this thing and doing bang bang and getting he gets his comeuppance a little bit, double DDTs, Harley Race on the chair, gets his final bang bang and still standing, but holy shit. But to Jess's point,
and the rules too, like what, you had to pin your opponent and then they had to stay down for a 10?
I believe that's what it was.
You got a 30-second rest period, and then if they couldn't get up at the count of 10.
Yeah. So what happened was Vader pinned Cactus, but Cactus got up, but the ref didn't see it. And then Harley shocked him with the cattle prod and he fell. And then the ref turned around and counted 10 and then Vader wins.
That's right.
So Vader wins the match, which is bullshit because it was non-title. So why would you not give Cactus all his momentum?
Cactus just took a flying
and then on the next pay-per-view at fucking Battle Bowl, they could have rematched for the title and not been in Battle Bowl and just rematched for the title. And then Vader wins the rematch and defends his title. But
Yeah,
then
it
you
seals it
believe
up,
that
seals it
Cactus
right
might
up.
beat him going into. I don't understand. Sometimes WCW just like they just don't. I don't know.
They never gave Cactus the love at WCW.
No, they did not.
The crowd did.
I mean, he gave everything for WCW. They gave him nothing.
Yeah, I'm watching him off of the the high entrance, elbowing onto the concrete, just a flying elbow.
He does that nonsensical sunset flip where he eats it on his back and legs. Like everything Cactus does in this match. It's so good.
Just horrifying.
So overall, what do we give the show grade wise? I give it a C+ because I think there was a lot of dunkers in there with the count out with Steamboat and Orndorff. The opening match was meh. And then
I want to give it a little bit higher. I want to give it that B-. I think the final match pushes me over a little bit.
That's a good point.
It's and you didn't go through miles of shit to get to it. You got through some pretty good stuff in there to get to this match. So
the wrestling on this card was very good. Don't let any of our grades steer anybody.
We're just stingy.
That's a good point.
The work was really good, and almost every match you're seeing like Booker T legend, Steamboat legend, Orndorff legend, Cactus Jack legend, Vader legend, Austin legend, Dustin Rhodes legend. I mean every
Harlem
legend,
Harlem Heat
Flair legend.
Yeah.
This is a different time, and this is I'm glad this was recommended by a fan. Is it Haitian guy who recommended this one? Who asked for the? Who's the guy?
Oh God, you keep talking.
Or was it Suplex King?
No, it was not Suplex King.
But while you're looking for that, thank you for recommending it. And this is like a kind of a wrestling purist dream, but you also have to break yourself out of 2021's mode of watching wrestling because a lot of these matches were over 50 minutes. A lot of these matches had chain wrestling. A lot of these matches built and were slower paced, but they had that hard hitting kind of tough, the best of WCW had to offer back then in 1993. And it's jarring to watch now. We're giving a lot of stuff B- and C's.
This was from good old Nick from Facebook. His name is Nick.
Oh, sorry, Nick. Well, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. For our audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. This is Dave, Jess, and Craig. Cuz
it's gone.
Have a good one.